back. It's the Skid Show. Skadimes and Skedaddles, man. I'm Raheem Skadimes and Rasul Skedaddles. We're back at it again, man. We had a hell of a 3 days when it comes down to the 2025 NFL Draft. The draft is over. Mr. Irrelevant was picked. Now it's time for these guys to hit training camp and get ready for preseason and find out who's going to make these 53-man rosters. But before we get to that, we have to take a deep dive into what was drafted. We're going to recap the draft. Skedaddles will give you a letter grade on who did what and how he feel like each team did throughout the 2025 draft as we get to it. Let's go to draft recap right now. All right, man. Any teams that stood out to you right away before we get into each team alphabetically order?
I like what the 49ers did. I like I like a few other teams. Jaguars.
Yeah, I like the Jaguars. I was going to say Jaguars too.
I like what the Jets did, 'cause even without having a first round pick.
hmm Yep. And we start off with the Chicago Bears, man. Landon Jackson out of Arkansas, the defensive end. They didn't have a first round pick, or nor did they have a fourth. So let's look at what they did. They went Landon Jackson in the second round at pick 17. They get a really 6'7" type guy on the defensive end edge. Second round, guy could possibly be a starter for this team. Tyler Van Dyke, fourth round pick. I think they went with best available. When you already got a guy like Jalen Hurts on your roster, right along with uh, what's the quarterback? Young, Bryce Young. Tyler probably is just giving them depth there. They go Barong tight end, but Rubio was the big pick, I thought, in my opinion. They're getting a high overall guy right away, 82 overall. Good strength, 95 strength. I think this D tackle will start for them. What kind of grade would you give them from their picks in this draft?
I give them a C for what they got. You know, they didn't have a lot of picks, so the ones they did get were quality picks.
Yeah, I do think they got two starters out of this year's draft with Landon Jackson, and Gabriel Rubio. All right, let's get the Cincinnati Bengals, man. They are a season removed from playing in back-to-back Super Bowls. Their first pick was cornerback Damani Jackson, 97 speed, like 83 overall. Their next pick was Branson Robinson, the big bruiser from out of Georgia. As you continue to go down, they went in Trevin Wallace from Kentucky. They've hit a big-time safety in Hunter Waller. I think he's a hitter, right, more than anything. I'm not going to lie you with speed. Solid in coverage, but he's a real big tackler. But in that fifth round and sixth round, and look at what they did at the back end of the draft. Dumas Johnson, they get an 80 overall player there. J.D. Coffey, another 81 overall player, and Muheem McCargo, another 80. I think they won on the back end more than they did in the front end. I don't think they had a pick under 80.
No, they
Wow.
didn't. They took full advantage of their draft. This is definitely A
Man,
or above draft right here.
if we can give somebody A plus, are we not giving the Cincinnati Bengals an A plus here? Jesus. They won in the draft. They really won. They took full advantage of this draft. Good job, Bengals. So far, right now, we only show two teams, but the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion, might have won the draft. Yes, sir. All right, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Let's talk about it. Walter Nolan was the highlight pick at pick 4. This team had the fourth pick in every round, right? Uh, let's take a look at it. They didn't have a 6th-round pick, but what did they do through rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 7? I like every pick they made. It's another good draft, right? Walter Nolan, day 1 starter. This guy could be a Pro Bowler in year 1. Now, Hudson Card is a really good quarterback, but the problem is Josh Allen is there. I would say they could have probably went somewhere else there. Why do you think quarterback was the big pick here at pick 2?
They want to win preseason games.
Mm-hmm. All right, 81 overall right guard. They got a nice solid receiver, 80 overall. They got Robert Dilworth late, and then they got Jabari Smalls. All right, so Skedaddles, what's the grade here for the Buffalo Bills?
This is another A. Uh, they picking early. They got a solid pick with their first pick, and Hudson Card is if he's not playing, he will be on team's radar to come start for their teams.
Come trade. I like it. I definitely like it, right? Josh Allen is the guy there, but Hudson Card can learn out after him, and we might have an Aaron Rodgers in our hands with Hudson Card sitting behind an All-Pro already. And when it's his time to shine, boom, let's go. All right, the Broncos are up right now. They have one, two, three, four. They have 5 picks in this draft. Let's take a look at them. Now, their first 2 picks was really good high grades, right? Jeremiah Alexander highlights their draft pick at pick 14. But they also picked up Kamar Wheaton, man. The speed of this running back to me is outstanding. They get him in the 6th round. All right, Skedaddles, what's the grade?
This is a B,
I
a
like it.
B plus, B plus grade right here.
I mean, Shamar James is a really good linebacker from Florida. I think they got the pieces they need. I think they got exactly what they needed out of the draft. I like it. All right. Cleveland Browns, their highlighted pick. They didn't have a lot of picks in this draft. They only have 4. So let's take a look at what they did with their 4 picks here. Denzel Burke highlights the 1st round. Linebacker Jabril McNeil from Oregon. Oh, Key Calhoun, and then Stephen Williams. Browns being the Browns again, coach.
Yeah. You would say B for Browns, but no, they get a D.
Yeah,
This
I
is a
think
D
that
grade draft right here.
to me they got one guy that, and it was a lot of good players in this draft. Especially, I know they didn't have a lot of picks, right? They had day 3 picks, but you can't. If you saw what the Cincinnati Bengals did in day 3, you can't tell me that they couldn't have got a better linebacker. They couldn't have got a better left end or a better cornerback to close out the draft. So yeah, I give them a D minus. All right, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on deck right now. They go get the best running back in the draft, and Nick Singleton at pick 7. They get one of their better outside linebackers than Abdul Carter, right tackle Rod Orr. They get Colorado's Landon Beebe, and then rounds 5 and 6 they get Patterson, 77, Hefferman, and then Kapai from Notre Dame, from Nebraska. All right, what are we giving the Bucks?
Whew. This is the B minus right here.
Yeah, I think if they could have closed out a little better, especially picking at 7, you got to think about it. They had the 7th pick of every round that they did pick in. I think if they could have closed out that day 3 a little better. I mean, although they did get good, this is good value for picks rounds 5,
Yeah,
6, and 7. So
the first 4 picks is nasty.
yeah, the first 4 picks would have gave them an A plus right away. I think everybody that they picked in the first 4 picks will start for this team. I don't know, man. I think they still get an A. If you really think about it, if they got 4 starters out of this draft, they might. To me, that's an A. Their lowest pick is the right tackle, 82, in the first four picks of theirs. I like it. Would you agree with me, A?
No, I give them a B.
All right, there you.
Just for the day 3 picks. The day 3 picks kind of make this look not so great, especially at 7
At
when you're
7,
seeing the
right?
other teams, the previous teams, full 7 picks. With great picks.
Yeah. Nah, I agree. All right, well, we're going to side on the B. There you go. All right, the Arizona Cardinals is up, man. You start off what they did with the pick of the free agency pickup with Waddle. But let's look at it. They go get Xavier Thomas, the left end, one of the better left ends in the draft. They come back and get Kamari Wilson. But then you start looking at what they picked up. Right guard, cornerback Jalen Davies. They got George Wilson out of Campbell. I thought this was a steal, but still got work to do there. And then you start to look at what they did going forward. All right, so how do we like their picks?
This is a solid C plus B minus right here. Just because they didn't have a first round pick and they picked number 2 and all the rest of the rounds.
Right. In my opinion, I'm saying C minus here, right? Outside of their first 2 players, are anybody else guaranteed to play for this team or even start?
So you got a solid right guard in the third.
Yeah.
Their third pick, solid right guard. He's not a wow you, but he's solid. I think he could be a starter for this team. We
Okay.
know Jalen Davis is an underrated star.
Hmm.
He can make plays.
I agree. All right, so we go to the Chargers. LA. They go with the pick 9 and still Jalen Sneed. Listen, most people thought Jalen Sneed, a top 10 pick, But then you look at it, 84 overall, right? You're looking at a guy that got 90 speed, 90 excel. He could be a sideline to sideline linebacker. So I do like that first pick. But how about rounds 2 and 3? What do you think here? It's back running backs. They went 3 running backs, round 2, 3, and 4 at pick 9.
But they all great running backs. That's the only problem I had with it.
Right,
If they
all
was
of
if
them.
they wasn't dogs, I could see why they did this. But they got three. They brought in three dogs, and I think they're gonna feed them meat.
Yeah, man, and you know they got a little long in the tooth at the running back position over there, so they definitely revamped their running back room. And they got 3 different style running backs, right? Evan Pryor is the home run hitter, right? Brooks can do a little bit of catching the ball out the backfield, and LJ is the hammer and the nail. So I like it. What is the grade you're gonna give them though? They lost in that back end though, right? They ain't really get anybody in the
Yeah,
back end.
I give them a C just because they drafted three running backs.
Right, right.
Those are kind of like wasted picks right there. I
All
mean,
right.
the linebacker, their first pick was awesome, but
Mm-hmm.
the running backs are great. It's just too many.
Too many. I agree. I definitely agree. I'm 100% agreeing with you. So we're going straight solid C here, right?
Solid C.
Yes, sir. All right. All right. Next up on the docket, let's see what we're going here. Let's go. Chiefs on the board right now. So in the first round, I picked 25. They get Lawrence Philly. What do you think about that?
He's a all right receiving back. At 25, you really can't expect much. I don't know where they had him at on their draft board, but
Now he pulled up at the combine. That's why you seeing him with a slow 40 time. But at the pro day, this guy ran a 4.41. He's a 93, 94 speed guy. So Lawrence told Philly, in my opinion, they get them a guy that can really play slot receiver for them if they needed him to. Then they go Jeremiah Williams out of Florida. McLaughlin, left tackle, solid. They also get Kaylan LeBourne, 2 big running backs, right? And this was to me, I love this pick right here. I think he's going to be a star in the NFL, in my opinion. But again, another team that went 2 running backs there. And then you start to close out their last day. But look what they did with Josh Nobles from Western Michigan. They get an 81 down here in round 7. At pick 25, that's a huge pick right there. I like it.
sleeper pick.
Yeah, I like what they did. I don't know if this is the A grade, but I like what they did.
That's a B minus.
Hmm. All right. We're looking at the Colts. First round pick 29, they go Sam McCall slash safety slash corner. But they also pick up Andre Time. But then you start to look at what they did. They got Desmond Bennett's son. I like that. They got Bree Love, the fast corner. And then they go Amari Harvey. I like this draft. I completely like what they did. Every pick was defense, though. I love it.
Defense win
I
championships
love it.
and secondary at that.
I love it. They said they want to get better in that secondary. If you go look at their roster, they already got a solid safety room a little bit, in my opinion. I think they got better everywhere. Like, you got guys that can play, right? You look at Ibina's son, he's a hitter, right? This is a guy that'll thump you. And then Bree Love, if they can, only thing with him is the size. But I think he could be a great slot corner for this team. And then Amari Harvey, we know his path been rough. From Miami to Georgia Tech, he even, got kicked off the team, got himself back into football, and been an outstanding citizen and player since. So I like him in the 6th round. I think if he didn't go through the things he did, went through off field, this kid would have probably been a 3rd round pick. All right. What's the grade here?
C.
See, all right. Commanders. Now, look, it's going to be a long rundown right here, right? Because they had every pick in the world. And it starts with the 4 first-round picks right here. They didn't pick one player under 85 overall graded out right now. But let's talk about picks 1 and 2 before we start anything anywhere else. Now, Sony Styles, for whatever reason, didn't have a high draft grade right away. Like, he wasn't even looked at as a first-round selection. Most guys had him graded out the 2nd. That tells you what these so-called experts know. This was the 2nd pick in the draft. And to me, when you look at his overall grade after you saw a combine and a pro day, you understand why the Commanders went and got him. with the second overall pick. I don't think there was another player with the athleticness that he has outside of Travis Hunter in this draft, and Travis went one. How do they not win? Where what pick? I mean, you come down here and get Alejandro Mata, the kicker, in the fifth round, might be the highest overall player in the draft. But then you still DJ. This is a hell of a draft. Jesus. I mean, even the 78 Savion Williams and the 77 and Patrick Payton, you win here because you're getting a guy that's a hidden talent that's going to be a superstar, right? So where do we? I mean, I'm sorry, bro. This is unbelievable. I mean, maybe Savion Williams is the question, but then you look at his attributes: 93 speed, 93 excel,
6'4", 6'5".
6'4", 6'5" guy. Oh man! And then Jacquez Robinson, I think he's a legit star position, slot corner, shutdown. And then you talk about the line, the three interior linemen right here, right? High grades. These guys are day one starters. And then Nesbitt at tight end comes in and gives him a third tight end. So I love it. All right, what did we do for the enemy, man? What's the grade here?
That's A+.
I love it. A+ grade. All right, so we thought the Bengals had the better draft until you saw the Commanders and what they did. Not only the sheer number of picks they had, the talented overall grades of the picks they got. I mean, they legit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jesus. Mata's going. They got about 6, 7 starters in this draft. All right, we're going to the Cowboys. You said you liked the Cowboys picks at
Yeah,
13,
I like their picks.
and I think I'm in agreement with you. You got Devin Wilcock, the best left guard in the draft, 86. Then you got Carico. Look at the speed, 88 speed, 91 excel, really good outside linebacker. Niles Gaddy in the third round. Got a guy that's a superstar at DN. He's going to play right away. You got Nate Bruce, left guard, can get snaps. You got Brandon Jennings, you knew about him from Maryland. And then you go on Fano, and then DeAndre Polite. He'll be a practice squad guy. But I think they got a solid draft. What's the grade here?
I give them a C because they drafted a lot of linemen and then a lot of D linemen.
Right.
So it's a solid C.
Yeah. And then you ask yourself, really, how many starters did they grab? I think Niles Gaddy going to start for this team, though.
Oh yeah, Niles Gaddy, Rico, Willock.
hmm Those guys are
Might
all
even
play.
be able to squeeze Bruce in there
hmm
in the right situation. Might move him to the right side.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. All right, Dolphins, man. They went defense crazy in this draft. Let's see what you feel like how they did in this draft. All right, so C.J. Hicks, middle linebacker. They got Jalen Walker. And then they also went and got Prince Collie. I mean, linebacker. Nakia Jones. All right, what's the grade here, man?
Man, I can't even hate on the picks. I'm mad that they took them, but these guys are animals.
Look at the speed on these linebackers.
And they in Florida, so it's the Florida boys all over again. It just feels right for them to be in Miami. It just feels right.
Yeah, it does. I agree. I'm
Even with
100.
Benjamin Perry down there at free safety, 89 speed, 90 acceleration, these boys, then they get Craig Crawford 90 speed.
Yeah.
He's not that great, but he's fast.
But
It's
you
a
can know you can see
reminiscent
special
of the
team numbers.
Raiders.
You can see special teams for this kid, Craig Crawford, right? Speed kills. I mean, Andrew Jones, he can give you special team feel right here. So I do like it. What's their grade?
I give them a B,
They're
just
going
for
to listen.
their first three picks.
If those three picks pan out, they got linebackers that can run sideline to sideline. Mm-mm-mm. All right, Philadelphia Eagles on deck right now. Will Johnson, the cornerback, the number 2 cornerback in the draft, number 3 cornerback in the draft. And at pick 16, you start looking at what they did. Their first 2 picks was big time. Connor Tolleson will start right away. And then you're looking at Terrence Ferguson at tight end. And then you start to look at what they did. Kevin Gillum, Trey Zoom, They go Will Rogers at the quarterback position, and then they kind of tank out on the last two picks. How you feel about the Philadelphia Eagles?
This is a B minus right here. This is they draft for the division, then they set it up for outside of the division, and
Hmm.
with them getting the lineman and the cornerback, and focus on defense later. And then the sleeper pick was Will Rogers, the quarterback in the 6th round.
Yeah, definitely like Will Rogers. My question though would be for you would be, the Commanders and what they did. Did the Eagles, was the Eagles able to keep up with what they got going on? Because you got to better defend your division, right? You got to pay attention to what the Giants do, what the Cowboys do, what the Commanders do, and then you got to also be able to find a way to be able to make something happen in the draft to be able to counter those things, right? So, do you feel like they did any good countering?
I did, with Carlton, Tosin, and Ferguson. These are blocking type players that also access their offense to protect the quarterback.
Yes,
And
sir.
then you draft a corner that going to have to cover these wide receivers in Washington and Dallas and New York.
And look, man, they didn't just get a dog at corner. They got a 6'3", 190-pound corner. Now, the basketball team of the Commanders, I think that was directed. Let's go get us a guy that got height that we can be on the outside with those big towers in Washington. So I like it. I like it. What's their grade?
What I gave them a B. Yeah, I gave them a B.
All right. The Atlanta Falcons, here we go. Raleek Brown was their pick at 28. Now, they did get an 86 overall graded out running back. This kid could play receiver and running back. They also got speed in their first two picks. And we're going to talk about Malik Benson and what he can do as a slot receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. And take a look at 85 overall starting guard for them right away. And then they go get another speed demon at the running back position. And Jaden Blue. But as you continue to go down, Malik Hornsby, look at the speed at him at quarterback, 81 overall. I think they got this guy can play. And then you start to look at the fizz off rounds 6 and 7. But from 5 on up,
The
outside
Dirty
of
Birds are back.
yeah, I like it. I like what they
They got
did.
a new age Mike Vick in Atlanta.
Yes, sir. And then look, the funny thing is we talked about the Raleek Brown because they already had B. John Robinson over there. But if they use him like he was used at USC as more of a slot receiver or back that can catch in the screen game, and not only take handoffs but catch the ball out the backfield or catch the ball line the back slot receiver, I think they just put themselves in a situation, and that speed over there is different. You get a guy if Malik Hornsby can give them anything Michael Vick gave them. Imagine with the speed of the draft they had, what they can do with this type of talent.
Jadon Blue and Malik Brown. Whew,
Mm-mm-mm.
and the pistol. Mm.
Boy, what grade you give these Falcons?
I gotta give them an A. Even with the last two picks, these picks they got in front of them.
Yeah, man, we started well, during the draft. We was like, what are they doing? And now you start to see the vision as the draft recap pops off. They got some special players. All right, 49ers are up right now. This team just one season removed from playing in the Super Bowl. They had the sixth pick though. They didn't have a good 2024 campaign, so they picked six in every round. And for them to pick six outside of really Harold Perkins, I like Terry at tight end, and even Rich at D tackle, but Kyle McCord got picked up here. I do think Kyle McCord can actually play if they if they training right. But what do you think grade wise here?
This is another B.
Yeah.
Harold Perkins was a sneaky pick. They did a little research or whatever they did, or cock blocking, and
Right.
they snatched him up at 6 and kind of set him up for the rest of the draft.
I mean, you got to think about it. They got Warren at linebacker in the middle. They just went and got them an all-pro outside linebacker as well. And then they even at the tight end position, they got a nice little tall tight end with great speed and athleticness. So I like it. And if McCord ended up being a starter on this team, they really had a good draft. What's the grade here?
But I gave them a, yeah, this a B. This is a B plus.
Gotcha. All right, New York Giants, the Super Bowl team that got blown out in the Super Bowl, but they picked that 31 in this draft. They got Kevin Coleman at wide receiver to go along with a whole bunch of other young wide receivers over there. They did lose Jadakiss Bonds to free agency, so I like the pick here. And then you start looking at what else they did. What grade you give these guys?
This is a C.
I agree. I do think Kevin Coleman is slot receiver. That's pick 31. I'm not mad at it. Really good speed. We know what he did at Jackson State. We also know what he did at Louisville. So I liked it. I like it completely. Jaguars are on deck right now. They went and got Luther Burden with the third overall pick. Then they came back and got Malik Murphy with the second and the second round pick three. Now that's a little confusing to me because we know they got Sunshine at quarterback here. This is a starting quarterback in this league, Malik Murphy. Especially far as his grade. But after that, how do you grade this team?
Junior Colson. Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, oh
Another
wow.
Florida boy.
Hmm.
They're gonna enjoy Florida. Yeah, whew, this is C minus.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now they fizzed out in the seventh round though. Their last two picks, but cool. Jets. Let's talk about these Jets, man. Ernest Green, 85. Then they go get Drew Aller. They come back and get Deuce Harmon, the cornerback, Texas A&M, and then they finish out the day three with Stephen McLean, Carson Beck. This is the second quarterback they picked. They also get cornerback Devontae Rivers and then McPhee. I don't like their last two picks, but what kind of grades are giving these Jets? They're gonna have a quarterback battle on their hand.
Yeah. This is also a C grade.
Yeah.
No first round pick. Picking that number 10 the rest of the draft. They did pick up some solid players.
I do like what they picked up. I do think Ernest Green's day one starter. But then you got to figure out what's going to happen here at third round. Drew Aller. I think he'll have a shot to be the starting quarterback over here over Beck because Beck was the fifth round pick. They're going to pay the money first. They're going to let the money play first. So we'll see how that works itself out. They're only 3 points away from each other as far as what they were graded out. So we'll see. Now let's look at the Detroit Lions and what they did. They had no picks until the fourth round. So let's look what they did rounds 4 through 7. I think when you're handed, uh, you know, a bad draft position, no picks really. I mean, what could you do at pick 20, and you don't pick your first pick to the fourth round? I think they're gonna have to find a guy to, because I don't see a name on here that you look at and be like, you know what, that guy. What grade you give him?
This is going to be our first F of the draft.
Hmm.
And it looked like they was in scramble mode the whole draft, and they didn't take advantage.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think they kind of like I don't know. Unless their scouts dug deep, and did some things that we don't know. I don't see a name on here that has me, ready to be happy about. Like, all right, well, let's go on to the Packers. All right, what these Packers look like to you?
C minus.
Yeah, you start looking at outside of picked round two wasn't solid, okay,
Line, O
all
line.
line, yep. All right,
Protections, no weapons.
protection, no weapons. All right, Panthers. Cade Klubnik was their first pick in the pick 26. But then let's look at the lineman they got. They got the guy RE dash 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 from out of Florida State. What grade you give him?
This is a C minus.
I
C
couldn't
minus D plus.
I couldn't agree more. The question is, they go get Cade Klubnik in the first round. Does he start for this team?
Oh, that's a great question. Let's go take a look at their roster.
They already have a young quarterback on the roster.
Now he comes in as a day one starter. I think they drafted their future right here.
Yeah,
They actually got two young quarterbacks underneath them, so they've been drafting quarterbacks the last 3 years.
because that mean they just been missing on quarterbacks. That's all that tells you. They go get Cade
Now they really
Klubnik.
missing because they all almost the same type of quarterback each time around.
So are they? Is that a strategy of theirs?
I mean, they drafted Cameron Rising last year, uh, and then the year before that was Miles
Nah,
Brennan.
they picked up Cameron Reisman in free agency. He was on the Jets roster last year as their starting
Okay.
quarterback. So they picked him up in free agency, and then they go get Cade Klubnik, and then who they picked up before that?
Miles Brennan.
Miles Brennan. Yeah, Cade Klubnik comes in as he's going to be their day one starter in my opinion. They drafted him to start. Now the question is, that's the first quarterback they picked that got picked in the first round for the Panthers since Cam Newton. Right now, are they expecting things like that out of this guy? Not Cam Newton's style of play, but the atmosphere Cam Newton brought. Could Cade Klubnik do the same thing?
Yeah, he got the arm strength for it. He's somewhat mobile.
Yeah,
He's a small frame quarterback though. That's the only thing that might hurt him. 6'3", 186.
yeah, and he's a guy that definitely uses his mobility, and you know, it's the NFL. 186 pounds. At quarterback, don't get caught running the ball without sliding. All right, Panthers. Patriots, the hoodie. What do you give the hoodie?
The hoodie had a good draft.
Mhm.
I get him a solid C.
But the thing with the hoodie is, it always happens this way. I mean, Evan Stewart definitely was one of the best receivers in the draft. I love the pick there. The question would be, though, nice speed at the cornerback position and Sire, right? But they're the type of team that, their players they draft end up being dogs. But it usually take a season or two for them to get to that dogness. All right,
System.
LA Raiders.
This is a D. They get a D. They went O lines heavy, and then Rajion Davis is not really going to be an impact player.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that's going to need some development. He do got a low grade overall wise, but Rayshawn Davis, I think he has superstar capability though. I think this is a guy that if he could find his way on the field and or develop a little bit, he got to get to about an 85. He can get to an 84, 85. He's a starter for this team, and I think you're going to look at a guy that could possibly be a Pro Bowl player, in my opinion. I actually like their first couple of days, but after that, kind of falls off for me a little bit. What's their grade?
They got a D because they drafted a whole line, and you can't bring a rookie class of O lineman and draft them.
Seemed like they copying off the Houston Texans, but they didn't get the quality alignment the Texans got when they did it the year before. All right. The Los Angeles Rams, Jahad Campbell, middle linebacker out of Alabama. They got Keyshawn Silver, a D tackle. Then you look at Wilfred Ayabar, and then you start to go down. Ty Thompson, Deontay Anderson. You liked this pick here, but then after that they fall off. I don't know. What grade you give them?
This is a C minus.
To me, the
Jahad
Raiders.
Campbell's a dog. Yeah, Jahad Campbell and Silver, and then it kind of drops off after that.
Now I'm gonna say something about this Baltimore Ravens team. When you really take a look at what they did in the draft, right? You start to look at the names. You start to look at the players they picked. This is a typical Baltimore Ravens draft. To me, they got really good players with their picks, right? Now, we are going to question the two tight ends back to back in rounds 3 and 4, but I think they went after the best available. And you start looking at DJ Harvey here at corner, you go down. I mean, the only pick that to me that they really ain't win on is Julian Keys.
The late third round pick.
But he got speed, but I like Tavion Washington is day one starter. Now, Ethan Calver, I think it's going to take some time to get on the field. Hunter Wolf, Hudson Wolf, the two tight ends. To me, that's a waste because they got DJ, they got Likely, and they are also already have Mandrews there. So I don't know, what was the plan there unless somebody's not getting signed back. But we'll see. What's their grade?
This is the C.
All right, the Saints. They go middle linebacker Kendrick Blackshire, Manchild in the middle, right? Then they go Chris Marshall, the go get it. Now he's been an off field character guy. Started off at Texas A&M, Ole Miss, got kicked off Ole Miss. They gave him another shot. He had a solid year, but even during the off season and the draft process, he got in a couple situations. So this guy can stay on the field with the off field problems. He could be a great receiver for this team. But outside of that, how do you feel about their grade?
This is another C. Those first two players are nasty, and it's a solid third round pick,
Hmm.
solid fourth round pick, solid picks all the way around.
Yeah, they got solid
Solid,
picks everywhere. Yep.
solid picks.
All right. The Seattle Seahawks didn't have a first round pick because of the AR-15 situation, but they go get slot receiver Antonio Williams, speedster. They get middle linebacker Keith Brown from Louisville. They go get this was a steal, Colin Oliver in the fifth round, in my opinion.
Power Eccles.
Power Echoes and then Andrew Body. 90. Look at that speed at quarterback. If you don't think they want that Lamar Jackson feel to go on, how do you grade these guys?
They definitely get a B.
Hmm.
B just for no first round pick and then picking at 30.
Yeah, they did a really good job. All right,
Really good.
Steelers. Oscar Delt was their 11th pick first off. Then they go get Mikal Williams from Georgia. Jansen Dunn, the safety from Kentucky. Look at that speed on him, man. Remember I told you that's what they do at the safety position. They get a guy that you really don't think is that guy, but like you start to pay attention to it, you got a guy that they might can work into something here. Looking at Damon David, another safety here, 90 speed, 89 Excel, and then that last pick was just a pickup. How you feel like about their grade?
This is a C plus.
Gotcha. All right, as we starting to close on the last three teams, let's look at Coach Prime, the Super Bowl winning Houston Texans. So let's look at them. They go Travis Hunter, pick one, Bear Alexander, Xavier Weaver, Tyler Brown in the second round. They go Van Wells, another Colorado player, second round, superstar actually. At the center position, they go Savion Smalls, Amarion Cooper. They got Khalid Ferry, Jarrett Christian, uh, Lich from 6'10", bro, at left tackle. Then they go Davis A. Biggerson, Squirrel White. They go Malik Neighbors, and then Elijah Clark as Mr. Irrelevant. All right, so they had a million picks, but how do you feel? I know they missed on a lot of guys that they were going after, but overall grade wise, how do
A
you?
plus.
I agree. I think they have a solid A plus because they still picked up a lot of key pieces. And then even at the center position, you got a superstar center, even right? Because Tyler Brown comes in and starts day one. But Xavier Weaver, remember, he was my question. Did they reach and get him in the first round? In my opinion, they did. They reached, but I think it was a good pick because they needed a receiver. But then you get superstar Savell Smalls in the second round. Also, Marion Cooper, who's going to play corner for them. And then the tight end, which they needed a third tight end. Big time, 86 overall upgrade. And then you got a 6'10" tackle that got time to develop.
Squirrel White.
Yep, Squirrel White with that speed at receiver, Neighbors with the height and speed. And then Elijah Clark, Mr. Irrelevant, he gets picked seventh round, pick 32, and he's a solid player as well. So they got depth, right? When they got their returning roster start back, so they just added depth with Travis Hunter going to be the guy to figure out how they're going to use him. All right, Tennessee Titans are up. They had pick 8 in every round. They didn't have a second round pick, but they picked in every round outside of that. How do you feel about their draft?
C. They had a C.
hmm Minnesota Vikings at the fifth overall pick. They attack offensive line twice, left tackle, right tackle. Then they go left tackle again in the third round, but then the fourth they go corner, left guard, right tackle. So they attacked the offensive line this entire draft, and they didn't pick one offensive lineman that wasn't a win. The question is, are these all going to are what do you do with this? Are they starters? Everybody?
Heavy
Shit.
package. Heavy package.
Oh God. What's your grade for them?
This is a B.
hmm
Just for solid linemen. Yeah, I mean, no weapons, all protection.
All protection. All right, that was the Minnesota Vikings. So as we do our draft recap, training camp's going to start, man. We're going to find out what guys that didn't get drafted that will get invites to camps to see what's going on out here. All right, so my question to you, Skedaddles, before we get out of here, um, when it comes down to the Commanders, man, they got a bunch of talent acquired, right? How do you feel their training camp going to go? You feel like they're going to have an intense training camp because
Yeah, I think everybody's going to challenge each other.
and
It's
then
going
you
to be a
guys are
battle.
featured on Hard Knocks this year. So how does that feel? Like first year head coach GM, and then your team is being featured on Hard Knocks after the off season y'all had.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yes, sir. When
Tune
we
in.
tune in. All right, this is Skadimes and Skedaddles on the Skid Show. 2025 draft is over. When we come back, we'll start talking about training camp and we'll talk about preseason as we follow the Washington Commanders through Hard Knocks throughout the training camp and right before preseason ends. Hard Knocks episodes will start with the Commanders, and we're going to see how these teams come back. When we come back, we'll talk about those kids that wasn't drafted and the best available talent that wasn't drafted and where they're going to go before we get to preseason. With that being said, we're gone. Good nights, skedaddles, peace, God.